Oh,
Not
look at
quite.
that. No, I got it. I
Close.
got it. It's
Oh, the
done.
collar was up.
Oh, yeah, we're good, though. We're good.
You got it.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone, on this Thursday night.
Thursday, yeah.
So we've got our weather intern here, Natalie Harris. She's still joining us. She just doesn't want to stop learning. I love it. But we've got a lot to talk about, and I'm going to be honest with you. I am a little bit concerned about the storm potential tomorrow for a few reasons. Number one, we really don't have a whole lot of storms that have soaked up our atmosphere. Think about this. We are super unstable right now. We're capped, but eventually we've got this line of storms that's going to be tapping into strong low level winds. It's going to be tapping into a lot of instability. And not only that, you've got low level instability. So all those ingredients are coming together along with upper level support. And so that could lead to the potential for some rotating storms along the leading edge of the line. So is that actually going to, come to fruition? The models are pretty consistent on this. And, one thing we never looked at was the rotation tracks. I do want to look at that. Yeah, we need to look at that. So let's first of all break down the risk and talk about what's happening. So we're going to look at the outlook. We're going to look at all these ingredients. Now, before you start asking about individual towns, just bear with me here. Just wait till I go through it all, and then we'll start talking about individual towns. But there's really no reason to ask because every single person is going to see storms. But not everybody will see the rotation within the line. That's just the way it works. We don't know exactly where that's going to be. So just don't ask for individual cities right now. All right, this is the risk. And as you'll see, the risk is showing up across all of Northwest Arkansas. Yes, it is a level 1. However, remember that even though it's a level 1, we still have that potential for tornadoes. I'm seeing a lot of severe weather that's happened in a marginal risk. So don't just discount that just because we're not in the greatest risk. Now, if we zoom out, you will notice that there's the enhanced risk to the west. That's where the more storms are definitely going to be. I will answer this question right now. I don't think they're going to increase the risk because here's the deal. It already moves through by about 7 o'clock in the morning. That's when the risk stops. They've already updated the day one convective outlook as much as they will. And so the next risk that gets updated at 1 a.m. is going to be for after 7 a.m. So there's not going to be an increase to the risk. That's just the way it works. So we'll go back to this risk area and we'll take a look at it zoomed in again. And you can see how that level 2 is to the west of Northwest Arkansas. However, the tornado risk does include Northwest Arkansas for the most part. Before it didn't. And Zach, I don't know if you looked at this in the morning and the early afternoon and even the late afternoon. Now it's changed as this continues to shift westward. Yesterday it was west. And today it's moving in. And it makes sense because the ingredients will be there. Now, the window of opportunity for rotating the storms within a line is going to be just initially when the line crosses the state line, when the line of storms. So we'll take a look at the future radar and we'll do that here in just a bit. But let's look at this. This is the significant tornado parameter. And you know how we have this kind of filtered out where it doesn't show it unless it's, for real. So you'll see here during the morning, that really starts to ramp up over northeast Oklahoma. And here's the reason. The low-level jet is kicking in. Low-level jet, nocturnal jet, overnight tonight. And you're going to notice here that this starts moving eastward. Now, for those that look at soundings and stuff like that, there is a PDS hazard for tornado in Adair County, according to the HRRR. And we'll get to that here, and I'll show you that in just a second. I don't have it loaded right now. It's on the 0Z. We'll take a look here, and then we'll just go to, I know you can't see this right now, but I'll bring it up in just a second. We'll go to forecast loop. We'll zoom in here. Regional Zach, while I'm doing this, what's your thoughts? You've been looking at a lot of stuff today. You've been forecasting. What's your thoughts on this too?
Yeah, I like you said yesterday. The risk for these tornadoes was west of us, and then this morning it crept in to our western counties, and now it's pretty much for the whole area. And I do think that's warranted. Models show this line coming in. We know the instabilities there. Dew points are in the 70s. I think the first time this year where we've had dew points overnight that were in the 70s,
Yeah,
and if you step outside right now, you know it's one of those nights where you don't want to have the window open or even cracked
yeah,
because you don't want to let that humid air in. And timing, people are saying, "Can we sleep tonight?" Yes,
yeah.
because this I would go to bed or right now because you might need to get up early for these storms.
Around
So
6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Some of you are already up at that time, but
yeah,
let me show you this. This is the sounding right here. So this is what it looks like. And just to let you know that I'm going to go back to that. So this is the sounding, and you can see that that is pretty impressive for instability. 75 over 71. So you got a 4-degree dew point depression. That's it. So what that does is that means you have 800-foot cloud bases. That's it. 800 feet. Because you take your temperature minus your dew point, you get 4, you add a 0, and you multiply it by 2. And that's 800. So you'll notice here too, you look at the critical angle, that is definitely 90. Not the way they do it. They're doing it automatically to 500 meters, but that's not the case. That's pretty impressive storm relative velocity. In fact, you look at that 0 to 1 is about 257. The 0 to 3 is 330. You've got significant hail, you got tornado potential. And where is this located? This is located in eastern Adair County, just about as it's ready to cross into Washington County. Now, one thing you'll notice is that this parameter drops off over time very quickly. Look at that. Look at the window of opportunity. 1 hour, and then it's gone as the line comes through. And you'll see this right here. It just starts to drop off pretty dramatically. So that's that window of opportunity for that severe weather potential. So let's go back to some graphics here, and we'll take a look. That's a significant tornado parameter, and then it drops off. Now, obviously, the tornado threat was pretty impressive in Lubbock. They had a hatched area. They had a lot of tornadoes. Those storms are starting to die out. But here is a look at the complex of storms that's beginning to evolve. It's happening, folks. You can see this complex that's going to be diving in. This is known as an overnight MCS. I've seen this countless number of times where this congeals into a line. And because it starts to get balanced with the updraft, downdraft convergence zone, you have that potential for rotation along the leading edge of the line.
I mean, me looking at that scan right there, I'm kind of thinking River Valley best chance for the stronger storms, but could be wrong. I mean, it's probably not wise making that prediction because it's so far away. But I just remember looking at Friday night, there was a cluster of storms in southwest Kansas, and it was a bit farther north, and those hit northwest Arkansas. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will say is it's more zonal flow instead of that northwest flow. And
True.
you got to kind of remember that. So you could see, you're right, it could be in the River Valley. Some models have hinted at that. But I think what's going to happen over time is this line will evolve all the way through. And then once that upper level energy kicks in, the bottom part of the line will become balanced and it's going to be oriented north to south. So let me show you what we've got here. This is a look at the instability. So I'm going to take the camera off the screen, but what you're looking at here is the fuel that's available for storms. These are in the oranges and reds, and we are so unstable right now. And look, we don't have anything to impede that instability, and then this line comes ripping through. And that right there is 7 o'clock in the morning, according to the latest HRRR. Okay, so the latest HRRR shows some rain moving in 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, just about 9 hours from now. Here is 8 a.m. Look at that. Line's pretty nasty, but it's already through western Benton County at that point. So this will be, in terms of the severity of the storms, it will be kind of one and done. It moves through and that's over. However, there will be more rain behind it. This does not handle the stratiform rain and the physics and the meteorology behind these lines, as that stratiform rain with lightning will continue throughout the late morning. And then by the early afternoon, that starts to move out. And look, we get a break in the action. Tomorrow night, if you got anything planned, looks great. Weather will be fine tomorrow night. Now, as we go into our Saturday morning, that's where problems happen again. But notice that the instability is going to be a little less. So we're looking at storm potential all across the weather coverage area. And you can see the storm activity that's popping up. And look at that. You got storms that are developing, and that could cause some problems for the Pig Trail Mud Run, which is for the Springdale Rotary. And here you'll see Saturday, maybe a few showers in the River Valley, but not necessarily in Northwest Arkansas. So I think the super regional will be fine. And also someone was asking about Saturday night. You got Mudtown days. Lowell, that's a huge thing, by the way. If you've never been there, it will be muddy too. I'll tell you that. But Mudtown days should be dry because those storms are not going to be a problem. Now, this will give you a really good idea of timing. Quiet tonight. Go to bed. Don't worry about waking up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. There may be a rumble of thunder. Right now, there's a complex of little showers that's trying to make its way eastward. Go ahead and put on the lightning on that. I guess that was turned off. Let's see if any of those have lightning with them. Bet you they have occasional. But there's Howell Heating Cooling Mega Doppler showing that little cluster of storms. That is not the storm system that's coming in tomorrow. So we'll go back to our timing. That ramps up around 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then it drops down pretty dramatically. That's because the line comes through. And this is all the stratiform rain. Could see some isolated development, but this is questionable. And that's why the percentages are a lot less. And then Saturday morning, that starts to pop up again, and then it drops back down. And you can see that getting down to about 20 and 30%. So just to let you know, too, there is a Pig Trail Mud Run that's happening. Zach, this will be a pretty cool thing, but this is the 11th annual Pig Trail Mud Run. I got to talk about this because, number one, weather could be a factor, but it doesn't matter, rain or shine, this event's happening. However, if there's lightning, the event will still happen. We just have to wait till the lightning moves out. So kind of like a game, a lightning delay. Now, hopefully we don't have lightning all morning into the early afternoon and it's out of here and then just like forget about it. But there's a look at that. And then we'll go to the River Valley timing. And this is similar. This will be moving in. And I see some people asking questions about specific times. We'll get to that again. But there's 80%. There's Saturday with the chance of rain and storms. So I think this line is going to be moving in the morning hours. So I'll work my way back, but here's a great question. Can you please describe what stratiform rain is? So stratiform rain is basically like a large area of rain behind the line that has like the yellows on radar, sometimes even the reds if it's really heavy stratiform rain. But what it means is it's basically a large area of rain and it's all the same. Essentially, it's all kind of like the same rain rates, but there are lightning bolts that come from the tops of the thunderstorms. These are known as positive CGs. So there might not be a lot of lightning, Zach. It might just be maybe occasional lightning, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get a big thunderstorm that's building up charge for a long time, and you get an anvil crawler that comes out of the back of the storm. So, Natalie, that's what we call those positive CGs, meaning positive because they're originating from the tops of the thunderstorms, striking down to the ground. So it's a positive to a negative charge, whereas most lightning is negative to positively charged. So, all right, let's get to some questions here, and we'll kind of move through some stuff here. All right, so all hazards are possible, even snow. Nah, not even snow.
That's Jam in York.
Jam in York for you, huh? Let's go back to real quick. I do want to show you that future radar again. What's up? Jam in York?
Comments.
There's some funny
Crack me up.
comments. Yep. So here's that timing again. Someone was asking what time in Grove. I'm thinking around like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So it will be a little before sunrise. Yellow, definitely. So that shows you the amount of instability that we have is definitely there. What's one thing that could limit the severe potential if a bunch of cells develop out ahead of it, kind of sap up that instability before the line comes through? Then that would be a good thing. That would limit the severe weather potential. I'll show you some other computer models too. We'll take a look here at the 3-kilometer NAM. I haven't even looked at this, Zach. I don't know if you have either, but let's check it out. We'll look at this together. So here is the 3-kilometer NAM, and it's got to have that line of storms coming in, and it doesn't even come close to handling it. But that does do a lot of rain. So regardless, this is heavy rain during the morning commute time.
It's got it later, and I
Yeah.
do think it has been trending later and later.
And then see how there's still additional isolated stuff that pops up.
I'm
So
not
it's-
buying that.
Yeah, I don't buy that either. Now here's Saturday morning.
Nah.
I don't know. I think that model's all over the place. Trash it. I'm discarding it. Here's a look at this is Friday morning. Now, this is interesting because this almost resolves a
That's
line.
new.
This almost resolves a line break. And that's like, I think, a little too fast. These models are a little too quick. It shows 6:30. This is the graph. It's known to be super fast, typically way too fast on the timing. I'll show you the 4-kilometer graph because that one updates every hour. This is one of the older ones. And even this tries to resolve at 6 a.m., almost like a QLCS line break. You can see the way that bows out.
Descending reflectivity.
Yeah, descending reflectivity core on the back edge, as Zach mentioned. And that is, don't have it added to my show. So here is Saturday morning. So we know Friday morning, Saturday morning, storms, very likely. Both severe days. Tomorrow morning, a little bit greater of a tornado potential. All right, let's go here through some of the comments. The Nader in Texas. Yeah, we were watching some of the live stream. So I've got the lightning tie on, even though we're not going to see lightning for a long time. Which one?
Jeremy Dork's comment about being at Walmart right
Yeah. You could tell it's going to rain because the flies are walking stiff-legged. There you go. Lots of kiddos at Camp War Eagle today and all summer. Please let us know the threat there. Tomorrow morning, you're going to be watching. Yes, the critical angle was favorable. You saw that on the sounding, on the model sounding. It was definitely favorable. Does this go for Southwest City, Missouri? Yes, it does. There's a severe weather threat all over. Let's see here. Looks like a kindergarten's drawing. Yeah, I know. Some of these do. It could, but the future radar, come on, you guys know long enough. You guys know long enough that those future radars aren't perfect. I mean, I sure hope you already know that. That massive wedge by Lubbock earlier. I know, we saw that. This will be a QLCS tornado threat. So what that means is embedded supercells, embedded rotations within the line that, number one, will be very difficult to warn on. So there may be severe thunderstorms with tornadoes possible, and they aren't warned for tornado warnings. So just be aware of that, kind of like Easter Sunday and different stuff like that. So we will be looking at a tricky morning event. I hope it weakens before it hits the river valley. So I got to show you this because Zach was mentioning this, and this does not happen all the time. I mean, you get this during the summer, but look at those dew points, man. So you mentioned the river valley, Zach, might get more impacted. And that's a possibility because look at how high those dew points are. That is
mid-70s, yeah.
That is some fuel for storms. I don't
see why they would drop.
That is unbelievable. Look at what the heat index is right now.
Probably 80s.
87. It almost feels like 90 degrees. And did I mention that obviously we've got thunderstorms coming in? With all that moisture, we're talking heavy rainfall rates, copious amounts of moisture. And then you're going to see that flood watch. That flood watch has been issued from 1 a.m. basically tomorrow morning, which will be not for us, through 1 p.m. Saturday afternoon. 1 to 3 inches will be possible. All right. Impossible to tell which towns will get it worse. Just be weather aware. Exactly. KY3, they do a great job. So Sigtor is at the highest at one time, about 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 a.m. Hey, you know, a quarter inch, I'll take it. We get 3 inches of snow. We got 3.14 or 3.25 inches. All right. Okay, what's the start time for Grove? We mentioned that, Jane. That's going to be probably right around 6, 7 a.m., I think. What's your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah. Grove, yeah, probably 5, 6 a.m.
Yeah. Here's a question. Would the tornadoes be brief? It's always tough to determine if they will, but these will not be typically the long track tornadoes. However, the storms will be moving pretty quick, so they could cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time. And I'm not saying, you know, you look at it, the tornado threat just really doesn't jump out at you. It's only like a 2%. A 2% in our wording essentially is very low. However, it is there. And Zach, you always mention this. It's a non-zero tornado threat. So what is a non-zero tornado threat?
Well, even though
The best way to describe
even
it.
though the risk is low, it's still there, and it only takes one to impact you. And it's kind of one of those high impact, low coverage type deals for us, and that's why we're in the marginal. Doesn't mean the storms will be weaker. It just means that the coverage of these severe storms isn't expected to be as great.
Yeah,
But still,
like the amount of
yeah,
severe
yeah.
storms. Now the
Yeah.
coverage of the rain will be
Oh
everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as the severe weather,
Yeah. Okay, this is a MSC is mesocyclone, right? It's actually what you're thinking of as MCS, which is mesoscale convective system. Basically
Yeah.
says a big cluster of storms. We talked about that. You know, this is funny that you mention this because it could be Derecho. It could be. This is the type of environment I'm telling you where you have low level instability, you have an upper level system, you have a frontal boundary, and that frontal boundary right now is draped across northwest Arkansas and the river valley. And this is what it looks like right here. And so you actually have two types of QLCSs or derechos. You have a serial derecho and a progressive derecho. You ever heard of those?
yeah.
Yeah. Now, I believe that this is going to be the one with the front would be more of a serial. Is that right?
We have a graphic, right? Or there is, like, I'm sure,
Yeah,
a source
hold
that
on.
we can look up. Because to be honest, I kind of forget too.
Yeah. Always kind of get it a little bit confused.
Right there, and Noah, you saw it? Look at all.
Yeah,
there.
right
That's
here.
the
Yeah,
original.
let's look. Oh, I was right. Wait, wind flow. Let's see. Oh, download image, and let me download image. Oh, it might be. I take it back. It might be a progressive derecho because the wind flow is going to be parallel to the front. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me show you what we're looking at here. So we're gonna teach you something you probably don't know. I doubt you do. So we'll remove this. We'll present the image file. Go to downloads. Oh. What?
There it is.
Where?
Hit date again. Right there.
Why is it that way? Oh, I guess we already had that. Okay. So
2011, man.
yeah, that's how long we had it. So all right. So this is a progressive derecho, a derecho. And so what you have right there is the boundary. You got the wind direction. The storms are going to be moving along the wind direction, and so that basically that gusty wind is going to be right along the leading edge of that line. And so that is a progressive derecho, and this is a
What's the wind speed that defines
serial.
derecho?
Has to be greater than 75, like
And it's like the
good question.
distance of the line.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to cover a certain length. We've got it.
Yeah.
We've got it. I'll bring it up. We've got a graphic on it. It's always tough to mention the exact specifics, but this right here probably is not going to be the case because the wind direction is not exactly parallel to our event. So we would have what's called a progressive derecho if we in fact do. That's a little bit uncertain, but it's something that is going to be possible. So let's take a look here at what makes up derecho. By the way, derecho stands for straight ahead in Spanish. And so here is a look at this graphic. A derecho, and obviously not recap for storms of Wednesday, but Spanish word meaning straight. And it's a thunderstorm complex with damaging winds for at least 250 miles in length. And the winds must exceed 58 miles per hour along the entire span of the storm front. So that's what it is, and this must be maintained for at least 6 hours. So that makes up a derecho. Now here's something interesting, folks. Did you know that Northwest Arkansas, according to climatology, which this is a little old, but 1981 to 2001, that we are essentially, go back to it here. What? Hold on. Was that not showing? I thought I was showing that. Yeah. Hold on just a sec. There. A little bit confusing. So we are in the bullseye. We have about 4 derechos every 3 years, and it's been a little while since we've had one. And look at this. This is another climatology. And that, by the way, is Northwest Arkansas right here. So it's about as bullseyed as you can get for that. The last derecho that we've seen in Northwest Arkansas was June 12th of 2009. And look at the time. Look at the date. It's in June. I'm not saying it's going to be, but I'm just saying we have plenty of fuel. We got instability. We got a frontal boundary. We got a complex of storms. And this storm system could be moving through. And maybe that risk does need to be bumped up, but I don't think it's going to happen. Your apps have been all over the place for the past couple of days. It makes sense. And the reason for that is models are not great at basically depicting when the rain is going to be. So it's all these subtle pieces of energy. Camp War Eagle, like I said before, this is going to be around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. So if they're already at Camp War Eagle, it might be a little earlier, but this is your most likely timing. And remember, this covers all of our weather coverage area. So this is like 5, 6, 7 a.m. And then it kind of drops off around 9 a.m. So if we look at, I'll show you the HRRR. Let's look at the hourly here. This is the new hourly. I haven't looked at this. It just came out not too long ago. We'll take a look here at Eastern Benton County and Western Carroll County for Camp War Eagle. And there's that line. That's pretty stout line. So we're talking, this is a little bit later now, but it is right around 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. I think that risk should be higher personally.
Well, I think this risk is now to day 2, after 7 a.m., and we are on the slate.
Yeah, but I thought that was for Saturday morning.
Yeah, I think it's both.
Yeah, it could be. So there's a look at, and then you can see the storms, they do fall apart as they come into central Arkansas. So
Good.
I think between 7 to 8 a.m. is going to be your timing.
I wonder what direction the 0 to 3 kilometer shear will be.
That's a great question. What does KM mean in the different model names? So what that is kilometers. And what that does is that stands for the grid spacing in between the points of the models. Think about it this way. If you got a high definition television, you're going to have a lot more pixels that are really close together. That is known as a very high resolution computer model. But if you have like a 720p and you have like dots that are spread out, spaced out over a large area, then that is a lower resolution model. Why is that? Well, because there might be a lot of things happening within those dots that the model can't resolve. But by the way, if you're watching, this is Natalie Harris, our weather intern. What do you want to? She knows a lot about the weather. She's a pilot. She's checking out all of the pilot charts. She has all that meteorological information. She's got a real
it's pretty
cool app.
impressive.
Like, what do you think about this system here coming in? Yeah.
Shoot,
You can fire away here.
far away.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I don't know. I think it could be pretty decent. We've been watching it.
What are some
Okay.
reasons though
Some reasons.
why you think? Yeah. Don't just take it from me. Like your observation.
My observation.
Yeah, your
Well, it's
analysis.
quite humid.
Yeah.
So that's plays a big factor too. You got all that moisture. And you can kind of see on it this little area you're watching.
Yeah. So she's pointing out this that's west of Stillwell. And that's the newest model. That's the newest hourly. And so that line comes in and we were already looking at the tornado potential and the shear is there. So let's do this. We haven't looked at the helicity tracks. What do you think that's going to show? Let's see. Let's take a look. While we're doing that, Carroll County not included in the SPC tornado outlook. No, I think you are. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. Oh yeah, see, this definitely has several tracks. Not super strong ones, but definitely has a lot of spin within these storms across northwest Arkansas. If we go to the hourly, let's see what this has. This might be updated. Yeah, see, it kind of weakens it as it comes in, and that's understandable, but maybe a little too underdone. You know what this reminds me of? I'll tell you what this reminds me of. This reminds me of the tornadoes that happened northwest of or near Gravette. Remember that one? It was on a Friday morning, and the line came in, and there was a lot of shear, and there were several tornadoes that were confirmed, including one that was pretty long track that went on the north side of Gravette. This day tomorrow reminds me a lot of that. And that was the same time too when there was a tornado north of Grove. Remember that one? Doesn't ring a bell?
Was it last year?
Oh, it was this year. I'll show you. It was like May, I want to say May 13th, maybe. Oh, look, hold on just a
It was
second.
in the morning?
Yeah. Oh, very much so. You were here. Either you or Peyton.
This year?
Mm-hmm. It was this year. Of course it's not in here. Yeah, it definitely was. Now I gotta find it because I can't remember the dates. I'll tell you what, we can find it real fast. Hold on. While we're doing that, Zach, you can answer some of the other questions.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, like, these storm spin tracks, the coverage of these is pretty dense. So All up and down this line, there is that potential for a brief spin up.
April 29th, 2025. April 29th. That's what it was. So if we go back to here, go to submit right here. These two tracks. Nothing, huh? Not ringing a bell?
No, it does.
Yeah.
I just don't remember like the details.
It was in the morning. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. There were warnings, and then the warnings were dropped, and then they were added again. All right, so let's see here. 77 dew point has to be a typo. So I will say this. I don't think. I mean, some of those, the Stigler dew point, I think is wrong. Well, no, look, it's matching 75 Stigler, 75 in Fort Smith. Golly, it's so humid, man. How about the shear? The shear is impressive. Oh, if you're not, yeah, you know where he is, Brandon. It's his former roommate. Baja Blasts are for humans, not for twisters. Yeah. Go to Baja Blast. Storms are pretty unpredictable in the summertime. That's about right. You're right. They can definitely be strong. Remember, Kentucky only had a 2% a few days ago, so they had a bad one. Springdale was a QLCS with a low tornado threat that actually happened. I was concerned about that too that morning. Yeah, it does. It does. You're right. We should look at that, as a matter of fact. Let's do that. I'm gonna go into here. I'm gonna remove this. Stop screen share. Present. Share screen. Let's go into this. So we're gonna share this. Make sure that's up. It gets confusing. I wish we had another monitor for when we're sharing the screen. But anyways, there's the Storm Prediction Center. And make sure that's still up. It is. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to mesoanalysis. Let's do that. And then we're going to start looking at some of these parameters. So they have some of these betas right here. Let's see what the new EHI tornado is. Let's see the tornado tilting and stretching. Obviously, everything is to the west with us. But if you go to composite indices, you have the Derecho composite right here. That's what it shows right now. Obviously, nothing over us because we don't have the low level support yet. What I want to do is show you something where we can go over time and see how this evolves over our area. So let's do this. Let's look at the 0 to 3 kilometer Cape bulk shear. And we have 30 knots, and it's going straight west to east. So if that line is running north to south, what do you think that means, Zach?
It's line normal.
That's line normal, and that's perfectly balanced, isn't it?
Yep.
And
But
that's
will it be
sufficient.
in that direction when it gets here.
Well, every single model that you have, what did it have?
No, I'm saying like, what will the bulk shear be in that direction?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Here is the 0 to 3 kilometer Cape. Watch this increase dramatically. Ready? Yeah, so that has a lot of Cape. And look at that. That's before the line's coming in. I just wanted to do this live update because I want to let you guys know that tomorrow morning could be a very turbulent start to the morning, and you need to be aware of that. So, Seth, this is our weather intern for the summer, Natalie Harris, and so embedded tornadoes. We were talking about that. All right, Brendan, I see you. 77 is very concerning. Yeah. I don't think they're going to update the risk, like I said. So Let's see, straight line wind speeds. So I think straight line winds, I think we're looking at 70 to 75 miles per hour winds possible. Let's see here. Uh-oh, Jammin' York's talking smack about you.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. All right, let's see here. Looking at some comments. There's a lot of them. Let's see. What about Peter Pender? Peter Pender in the southern Franklin County area. You will have to watch that as well. All right. So if you're watching and you're looking for Peyton, we did a whole thing on Facebook Live. Of course, Facebook probably didn't put it out on timelines and doesn't show up, and you can't even search for it. But he's gone. He left yesterday. Yesterday was his last day, and he's going back to Houston, spend time with his family, his girlfriend, and go on to a new adventure there. Sad, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna miss Payne. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was great.
Yeah.
He is great, but
All right. So, hey, got a nice comment there. I assume with these speeds, the hail threat is low. Yeah. With linear storms, you don't get as much hail. So at least the hail isn't as big. But look at all this energy coming in. I mean, this just, I don't know. I think this has a feeling of being a pretty nasty line as it comes in. Let's see how it's evolving. We can actually see how it's starting to evolve. And look, there it goes. Just like what the models are showing. This is becoming a giant cluster of storms. And maybe it misses us, but I don't know. This is exactly what it's had depicted, basically along a linear line, and then it starts curving southeast and moves in and becomes a balanced QLCS. You go to this, you can really see the water vapor. Look at all that energy slinging in, and there's the storms, and look, you can see that MCS starting to drop southeast and forming. And then that's that zonal flow, Zach. Definitely some zonal flow that's coming in, so a lot of energy. Okay, guys, so I guess to sum it up, storms are likely tomorrow morning. We'll run through the timing one more time. Get ready for storms right around 6 o'clock at the earliest, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, most likely. And this is going to be all over the area. I do read the comments. I'm seeing it right there. In fact, I'll pop it up right there for you.
like that logo.
Yeah.
SpongeBob, dude.
Is it?
I think so.
I don't know.
I think it's gotta go with my leg.
Is your favorite part of developing storm the rear flank downdraft? Oh, so Peyton knows the Jam in York $3 now. Let's talk real quick. It's going to be kind of tough to say exactly what's going on over the weekend, but I don't think there's going to be as much storm activity Saturday afternoon, evening, even though this model shows it. But I think as we go into Sunday, we're going to be quiet, and then Monday a few more storms, and then that's going to be moving out. So again, here's a look at tomorrow, 80 to 88, and storms in the morning. Some of those could be strong to severe. And then you got storms that are going to be happening Saturday morning. That's going to be a heavy rainmaker. We're talking some pretty heavy rain, up to 5 inches. And these are going to be very efficient rainmakers. And then Sunday, that most of that is in the morning. So it's kind of tough to say exactly when that happens. And there you see the river valley. Okay, last thing. One more look at the future track radar. Anything that you think I can add, Zach? Natalie? I think we covered all of it.
Just have ways to receive alerts.
Yep. You know, it's a good thing is if you don't have Weather Call Next Gen, that'd be a great thing to do now
Yep.
to get signed up. If you have Weather Call Next Gen, this will take all the guesswork out if you are in the path of a warning. because it'll call you.
Yeah. Weather apps, another great resource.
Yep. All right, here's a look at this line that comes in tomorrow, just about 8 o'clock in the morning. And there's Walmart shareholders that's at Bud Walton Arena. And think about this, like how awful does MLK and Razorback get that intersection when it rains real heavy? Yeah. So, oh, look at that. Another comment that I'm going to add, weather call slaps. That's a good way of saying that it's awesome.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
That's the lingo. Let me show you real quick a graphic for weather call next gen. Probably had to stand by. I don't know. I just I have a feeling about this system. Maybe it'll die out, but boy, it's so humid, and this is something that really, honestly, this is humidity that we have not had in a long time for as strong as this system is coming in, and as strong as the storms could be. So here's weather call next gen. Scan that QR code. It will take you to exactly what you can do to get the latest warnings, calls, texts, emails, only if you're within the storm polygon. Immediate phone alerts, observe tornado warnings, upgrades, extreme severe thunderstorm warnings, hurricane force winds act, 74 miles per hour.
All right.
This is kind of funny, but Zach and I, we were having a debate. Natalie, you can talk about this too. So when we're talking about the hatched area for damaging winds, it says on SPC site 75 miles per hour or greater. But then you said it shows that it says hurricane force winds, and it has in
Which is
parentheses
74.
74 miles
So,
per hour.
So I think the hatched area is 74 and up.
74 and up?
Yep.
But are they just describing the hurricane force winds as 74? Because
Yeah, they are.
and they did say greater
Nope.
than hurricane force winds.
Nope.
No.
Pull it up.
No,
Pull it up.
They didn't.
It did say that.
They didn't.
I
No,
don't
it
think-
didn't.
I-
It didn't. That's what I was saying. It
think
should
is-
say.
Yeah.
But anyway, so is it 74 or 75? Either way, it's 1 mile per hour. That's right. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, there's weather call next gen. Scan that QR code, and you can get the latest. And look, we got a weather team member soon to come here, Blaze, who's on the stream watching. So, I'll tell you what. I don't think you have as much to worry about in Searcy County and in Van Buren County. I don't think there's going to be as much for that. Hurricane force winds knocking an apartment building down.
Yeah.
But it has to be stronger than 70 miles per
Yeah,
hour.
yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, I think that about covers it. We did the 7-day. We showed you all the storms. We showed you all the threats. Now just wait and see. So Josh Rugger will be in. I'll be on standby. I'll be watching the radar. I'll get up in the morning, and if I'm like, whoa, this is looking pretty rough, I'll come in. And so Josh and I will tag team severe weather. Zach, you can sleep in.
All right.
All right.
You're the boss.
There you go. That's good. Okay, guys. Well, that covers it. You have a good one, and God bless, and we'll see you later. Any last words, Natalie?
No, y'all stay sheltered if
Yeah.
that crazy comes in.
Be safe. Be safe.
Be
All right.
safe.
Well, take care, guys. Thanks for watching.